Good evening. Welcome to Queer News Tonight. This is the world's first and only LGBTQ plus daily evening television news, broadcasting live and available on demand. Available on all smart televisions, including Roku, Apple TV, Android TV, Amazon Fire TV, YouTube, and Facebook. It's time to queer up the news. It's Thursday, March 9th, 2023. We are live and literally out of the closet and into the headlines. So many of your important stories we are going to tell this evening on Queer News Tonight.
This is the world's first live daily LGBTQ evening news show, literally out of the closet and into the headlines on Queer News Tonight with Al Ferguson.
I'm your anchor at Queer News Tonight, Paul Thomas. This evening, we bring you the news of and perspective representing the LGBTQ plus community from South Florida, America, and across our planet.
This is the world's first and only unedited live LGBTQ plus evening news show. Whatever happens, unique in LGBTQ plus news, you will see it and hear it.
HotShots Magazine Happening Out Television Network is a nonprofit 501c3 media company in the same model of PBS and NPR, but designed for the LGBTQ plus community. Our mission is to support the 10 pillars of our LGBTQ plus community. We want to inform and educate the key issues of our Black community, Latino, lesbian, trans, students, youth, seniors, HIV/AIDS healthcare, business, political advocacy, and faith. Help us support our community.
We are part of one of the largest LGBTQ plus media companies in America, HotShots Magazine and Happening Out Television Network.
Our magazine is celebrating 38 years of the LGBTQ plus experience, and our television news, talk, and entertainment shows support our mission to educate the LGBTQ plus and broader community.
Let's welcome anchor Dale Stine. With a background in music and the arts, he is a well-known photographer, famous for his photographs of internationally acclaimed DJs, drag personas, and other entertainers, including our very own Fay What. I can't hit the note that high. He is presently the Director of Music Ministry at Unity on the Bay, as well as moderator of South Florida's largest LGBTQ plus Facebook group, Miami Gay List, which can be found on Instagram as @GayListOfficial. Good evening, Dale.
Thank you. It's always the official, which makes it really pop, you know? And I feel like because it's great to be on set, and because there's someone else on set who I photographed, and that's Gregg Shapiro for last year's Legacy Couples, the Miami Pride.
Yeah.
Which is a wonderful thing.
Thank you.
Anyway, let's welcome anchor Bob Hentschel. Bob is an accountant with a local construction company. He is a member of the planning committees for My Hollywood Pride and a member of various GLBTQ plus Disney Facebook groups, including the Gay Pride Disney Monorail Crawl. He describes himself as a nice widow man with a house in Dania Beach, a Disney Vacation Club membership, and a self-supporting cash flow. Good. Interested singles can find him on Facebook and Twitter as Bob Hentschel. Welcome, Bob.
Thank you, Dale. And the 10th annual Gay Pride Monorail Crawl kicks off Wednesday, May 31st at 7 p.m. at the Outer Rim Lounge at Disney's Contemporary Resort. Come join 100 of your closest friends as we just have fun and kick off May Day. Well, I try not to crawl by the end. The good news is I'm staying at the Grand Floridian, so if I end up crawling, it won't be that bad back.
Crawling distance.
They have golf carts, Bob.
I'm too cheap. Self-supporting cash flow. Well, anyway, let's welcome Dr. Bobby Huen. Bobby is a certified civil and family mediator. As the founder and principal mediator at BH Conflict Resolution Services, he helps families, businesses, and individuals resolve disputes of all types. Having grown up everywhere from Hong Kong to Boston, Bobby is proud to offer a global perspective to current events. When he is not at the office or here in the It's Happening Out studio, Bobby enjoys gaming, Lego building, and hanging out on the drive. Welcome, Bobby.
Thank you. What do you think if I get a baseball cap that says mediator right on it?
Works.
Yeah. Oh, well, I mean, it's like, label yourself, strengthening your brand. But anyways, thank you, Bob, for your introduction. And let's welcome anchor Gregg Shapiro, an inductee into the Chicago LGBT Hall of Fame. Gregg is the author of 9 books, including forthcoming Refrain in Light, an entertainment journalist whose celebrity interviews and music reviews run in a variety of regional LGBTQ+ and mainstream publications and websites. His movie review column, called Screensaver, can be found in South Florida Gay News, San Francisco Bay Area Reporter, RottenTomatoes.com, and more. Good evening, Gregg.
Well, good evening, y'all. We are the reporters for Queer News Tonight, and this evening we begin with the queer headlines. The LGBTQ+ community in South Florida and across America is diverse. Our community across the world is vast. And here are the bullet points of the queer news for today, Thursday, March 9th, 2023. Happy National Barbie Day from me and Solo in the Spotlight Barbie.
Solo in the spotlight.
Wow.
Okay.
I wonder when that was happening.
First, let's queer up the USA view. Lesbian governor explains how Ron DeSantis is taking us backwards. One of the nation's first out lesbian governors has ripped into another governor for his anti-LGBTQ+ and racist actions. Massachusetts Governor Maura Healey, while talking on Boston Public Radio, said Florida Governor Ron DeSantis is seeking to take the U.S. backward with his state's Don't Say Gay and Stop Woke laws, and his rejection of a course on African American history. She called Don't Say Gay a nonsense law and said the law is really shameful and it does a disservice to the residents of Florida. The Don't Say Gay law, officially titled Parental Rights in Education, bans instruction in public schools on sexual orientation and gender identity in grades K to 3 and stipulates that it be age appropriate thereafter. Opponents say it further marginalizes LGBTQ+ students, teachers, and families. When Healey, a Democrat, was Attorney General of Massachusetts before being elected governor last year, she and several other state AGs had filed a friend of the court brief challenging the law. On the radio show, she talked about her commitment to diversity and inclusivity. She also critiqued DeSantis' stances on race. The Florida Department of Education recently rejected an advanced placement course in African American studies. She said her state is serious about democracy and civil rights and protecting freedoms. And I have to say, I'm thankful to her for standing up, right? We need so many more people to start to speak out. Pretending like these things aren't that important, or someone said to me, oh, it's just politics. I'm like, pretending like people didn't exist is not politics.
It's erasing us.
Right, that's not politics. And, I think we need colleagues, more of these governor colleagues around the country to start to stand up and be really bold.
Jared Polis in Colorado, who's gay. J.B. Pritzker from Illinois.
Yeah. Well,
Newsom.
Here's something that I found out this morning. Yesterday, Governor Tim Walz of Minnesota signed Executive Order 23-03 protecting and supporting the rights of Minnesota's LGBTQIA+ community members to seek and receive gender-affirming health care services. Let me go over some of the points this governor covered. Mara, you're a little asleep at the wheel, I must say. In any event, point 5, no assistance from state agencies to states seeking to penalize gender-affirming health care services. In other words, unless there's a court order, you ain't getting any information from us. Wow. Point 6, protection against extradition. Meaning if somebody is in there, we ain't surrendering them. And I, for one, say, thank you, Governor Walz.
If only it was warmer in Minnesota. Really, really nice place
Don't they
to
have that
live.
big mall there?
Great Mall of America. You could live there. Yeah.
Yeah, what's I mean, we're just continuing to be such a dichotomy of good and evil, really, it seems like. Because it's not just, as you say, it's not just politics. We're talking about people's lives here.
Well,
So
for
it's
me,
really-
it always comes back to actual lives.
Yeah.
Because I work in healthcare, and you see people die. All of a sudden, the line for psychiatric meds is down the road, and that's not what they need. They just need to be left alone. They need to be able to live in peace, right? They don't need a pill to survive. They need to be safe in their home or at their job.
At this point, DeSantis is basically acting like a cartoonish. It's almost cartoonish in
Almost?
his villainy.
Yeah.
In his villainy, I mean, it's you know, it's Disney level cartoonish. You know, the whole villain.
But that's an interesting-
No, don't say Disney.
No,
You don't want to say Disney.
Don't say gay and don't say
No,
gay.
and the thing is too that protect children is a frightening echo of our girlfriend Miss Anita Bryant's Save the Children thing, and it's happening again here in Florida.
I mean, there are many lawsuits against these bills. We talked on this show in the past that 91% of his bills don't ever go anywhere. They get thrown out in court. It's the battle, but that's where we have to be vigilant. People have to stand up. They have to speak out. They have to not allow themselves to be treated a certain way. If we have to push it to court cases, and we have to push it to court cases, but we can't take steps backwards.
And this is why we need all the allies that we have existing to speak up and out.
Yeah.
And thank goodness Biden is appointing so many judges, because this is a very, very important thing.
Yeah.
And I'm a little disheartened that I don't hear a lot coming from the South Florida LGBTQ organizations, especially because there's a million LGBTQ organizations down here, and you would think the papers and the airways would be flooded. And usually I just
they
hear
are
silence.
there. I responded to this on the Book of Face, as I like to call it. There is a march on the 26th. That
In Wilton Manor. Right.
I believe it's starting at the GLCC and ending, correct me if I'm wrong, Flippin Park. I forget.
Justin Flippin,
Justin Flippin. I wanted to say Jason, but I remembered Flippin Park, because flippin' is one of my favorite words when I don't want to say the other F word. But it's the 26th. I think it starts at 11 o'clock, but to his point, I don't see a lot of it either.
There needs
I
to be
mean, I'm
more.
in Miami-Dade County. We should be yelling and screaming and jumping up and down. And a friend of mine who's from Puerto Rico said, you know what we did? When the governor went too far, we just blocked off all the interstates. We shut down commerce. Nobody went to work. And like, he had to get out of the governor's mansion. They picked him up in a private plane. Nobody's seen him again. I'm like, we cannot allow this treatment. I don't know why people are so okay with being treated this way.
You think people are being reticent about it?
I don't know. What keeps being said to me is there's a lot of fear. There's a lot of fear. And I'm like, well, that's not going to keep you safe. Sitting around being quiet and being afraid is not going to stop these laws from going.
And this is a community known for speaking up, ACT UP, and all sorts of protests over the years. We're not known for sitting quietly, so so talk to your friends.
And that's the other thing I said is, my gosh, you people would have never saved one life back in the 80s like this. We were never afraid.
I heard something interesting as I was coming in. I was listening to Michelangelo Signorelli, famous gay journalist. And one of his callers called in and talked about how gay marriage, you know, that happened in 2015. And I sort of have to wonder if, you know, we're quote unquote sitting on our laurels because, oh, this happened and this law and that and the other. But, you know, ask any woman who's had a restraining order only to have the man she was trying to punch right through that piece of paper. It's the same thing here. We've, you know,
I don't know. Yes, to your point, I don't understand where complacency comes in when you live in a state where you have no rights. We have a little tiny bit, some counties, you have a little bit of a human rights ordinance protection that they kind of slid LGBTQ people on the bottom of. You never had any rights. You still don't have any rights that anybody can punch that piece of paper.
They can take it away.
How are you complacent? How are you sitting back comfortable? The fight is not over.
No.
In any case.
Okay, so let's queer up LGBTQ plus civil rights. Why the groomer myth will not die. Conservative politicians and commentators loosely and frequently accuse opponents of being groomers and pedos. It's an ugly slur that conservatives use to target gay and trans people, and really anyone who advocates for gay and trans rights, or simply a more civil and open society where gay and trans people can live their lives openly and freely. Although this all seems unhinged, it is not unprecedented. In the 1960s and 70s, conservative opponents of school integration, women's rights, and LGBTQ+ rights coalesced around a similar narrative. They wrapped concerns about social and cultural change in a grim warning that America's children were the target of gay people who aimed to recruit and abuse them. In many cases, it worked. It set back LGBTQ+ rights in many states and localities and effectively stalled efforts to pass an equal rights amendment, and Florida seemed always at the center of the fight. In 1977, country and western singer Anita Bryant, a resident of Miami, Florida, spearheaded a successful effort to overturn standard civil rights protections for gays and lesbians. Her organization, Save Our Children, played heavily into nationwide fears of a child pornography epidemic. The hype was purely fanciful, but it proved resonant. Okay.
Speak up.
Get me started.
Yeah.
Okay.
First, I've been hearing, as I read this, I had nasty flashbacks to the days of my remote youth at age 11, hearing the Anita Bryant joke thrown at me. And for those of us of a certain age who might remember Soap, the Jody references thrown at me. I also had a flashback to when I would march in the gay pride marches, and I'd be here till I crossed the doorstep of St. Patrick's Cathedral and went. In any event, I am wondering for myself, because I know this is a PTSD kind of reaction and a re-traumatization type reaction to our points earlier about why aren't we fighting. I have to wonder, speaking just for myself, because I can't speak for anybody else here, how much people have been frozen, because I have women who are blessed to trust me with the fact that they are abuse survivors. I have them on speed dial to make sure I'm not going crazy, and every single one, last one of them has said to me, yeah, you know what you're talking about. So, I mean...
Look,
Go ahead.
no, go ahead.
I was just going to say that's very real. I think the things that you've been through, your past traumas, I think is very real. I'm glad you're staying in a community and connected to other people who can validate those feelings for you and help you get through that time. And I think when you need to take a rest, you should take a rest. And I think the rest of us need to go out and fight.
Right.
Like,
Yes.
calling someone a pedophile is a very, very serious charge.
Well, and we
This
know
is not, I mean, we have professions, we have jobs, we have families. You cannot just lob these
But
really.
the right wing is now using that word to use it for sports. They want to basically, and also every accusation is a confession. You know,
That's true.
You know, every time, just
Talk
someone.
about the Lieutenant Governor of Tennessee. Have you heard this story?
Oh, no, not yet. But I know. Oh, no, I know what you're talking about. But I actually also was talking about a former librarian and a QAnon fanatic sprayed painted groomers on the wall of a public library. He just got caught for having child porn.
Of course.
So, like I said, every projection, every accusation is actually confession.
Well,
yeah, the pedophiles that exist are far more in the heterosexual world than in the homosexual world.
And the frightening thing is that here we are again in Florida, where miserable failure and rancid orange juice queen, Anita Bryant, who also happens to have a lesbian granddaughter, she was doing that whole save the children thing. It's this repetition of this save the children,
And which
protect the children.
Which children you
Yeah,
leave?
why are we not saving the LGBT?
That's right. Well,
Which is what we're trying to do, right?
But hopefully, the mastermind, Casey DeSantis, and her hand puppet Ron will suffer the same fate as Bryant, including a nice cream pie facial.
I love cream pies. I mean, never mind.
Oh, God damn.
Yeah, different kind. Yes.
Sorry.
I think people have to remember, I think that they have to remember that, you know, libel is real. I think that we have to start to really hold people account for these things. I think because they don't have the numbers on their side.
No.
These things aren't true. And I think that we have to, you know, people can practice whatever religion they want, but they cannot use the religion as a weapon against us. Their religion doesn't give them more rights than yours or mine.
They think it does.
Well, and it doesn't matter. They can think whatever they want, but it doesn't. You know, we have to make that very clear, right?
I think it bears repetition, and I'm going to grossly misquote this, but the point is, you know, silence only helps the oppressor.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So, you know,
Absolutely.
you said it earlier, you know, we're one small voice, but, you know, our allies need to step up too. Because, you know, they won't be the ones shoved into the gas chambers, we will be.
Back to silence.
Yeah.
It equals death, right? It's an echo.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
All right, well, next, let's queer up religion. Speaking of religion, Michigan's lesbian attorney general receives anti-Semitic death threat. Michigan Attorney General Dana Nessel, who is a lesbian and Jewish, was one of the state officials threatened by a man who vowed to kill all the Jews in Michigan government if they don't leave office. Nessel tweeted confirming the news. Besides Nessel, Jewish government officials in Michigan include U.S. Representative Elissa Slotkin and several state legislators. A federal court in Detroit has unsealed a criminal complaint against Jack Eugene Carpenter III. He is charged with transmitting an interstate threat. If convicted, he faces a maximum prison sentence of 5 years. Carpenter had tweeted on February 17th from Texas that he was, quote, heading back to Michigan now, threatening to carry out the punishment of death to anyone that is Jewish in the Michigan government if they don't leave or confess, end quote. Carpenter's Twitter feed is peppered with anti-Semitic remarks and right-wing conspiracy theories. He believed Jews had developed the vaccine, the COVID vaccine, to help them achieve world domination. He also tweeted threats against law enforcement officials, several University of Michigan employees, and various well-known people, including Dr. Anthony Fauci, Twitter head Elon Musk, Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer, Pfizer CEO Albert Bourla, and former CNN anchor Chris Cuomo. Wow. It's just kind of astounding where we are. I mean, story after story, it's perplexing and it's also very disturbing. I mean, the Jewish people have suffered persecution, as we know, for many, 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 many years.
Centuries.
And now, centuries, yes. So now it's becoming acceptable because of the rhetoric that's being placed by, since we started with Trump. And
That's where it started.
That's where it started. I mean,
Yeah.
that's where it was not just started, but that was where it was encouraged and made okay.
Normalized.
And accepted, normalized. So we were in a very scary place.
Yes.
Period.
Yeah.
Do you know what the irony is? This guy threatened Elon Musk, and Elon Musk is the one, as head of Twitter, who is allowing this vitriol to stay. He is suspending liberal activists for questioning him, but, you know, he's embracing the entire conservative narrative.
Yeah. You know, freedom of speech doesn't come without consequences.
Exactly.
Not freedom of hatred speech. I mean,
Right.
Yeah.
Well,
that can incite violence. I mean,
exactly. And so, again, it's like, okay, why is this guy not behind bars? What do you mean that you put it? Why is he still riding around like this is okay? This is not okay.
No.
And until people start taking this stuff seriously, acting on it, and showing others that may have these thoughts, you know, I always think, you know, you have to be very careful when you're speaking, right? Everyone sitting at home is not hearing what you're hearing, right? And there's a lot of people at home that have mental illness. There are a lot of people at home that have learning disabilities. There are a lot of people at home. They just don't receive information the same. When you start
especially if
putting
they're
this,
watching Fox News.
yeah, I mean, hey, I remember that in the beginning of the COVID day, how many people walked in with burned esophagus because
they were drinking
bleach because Trump thought that it was okay. Suggests that if you try, I mean, there were people home who are not, you know, they have other challenges, who thought it wouldn't be a bad idea to actually try this, right? You have to be very aware. And so, guess what? You start throwing stuff like this out. You start throwing words out like pedophile and I want to kill it. I'm going to kill the Jew. I mean, this is insanity, right?
Here's the interesting thing about, you know, if you look at all three of these stories tonight, there's, you know, cross-thread, through line, and intersectionality, and I mean, it's just, it boggles my mind that, you know, I mean, on one level, I'm kind of happy, not that I understand I'm using the word happy for lack of a better term, you know, and I caught the picture of him out of the corner of my eye. I'm trying to hold my tongue what I really want to say, but in any event, you know, the fact that he went Jewish versus lesbian, okay, maybe that's a small, very small, very, very, very small victory, but still, I mean, it's like, you know, if it's not the Jews, it's the gays. If it's not the gays, it's the blacks. I mean,
well, and this country has a lengthy legacy of both anti-Semitic and anti-LGBTQ sentiment and rhetoric. And again, because it was sort of, the door was open, the Pandora's box was opened by Trump, people feel like they can just go ahead and do it. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
The entitlements are strong here.
And all the reason why all parties, all peoples who are disenfranchised in any way, we must stand together, stand strong, speak up, speak out.
We have to do that, and we have to enforce, you know, proper education, and because a lot of this just comes from crazy amounts of misinformation and bad historical information, and so people end up believing because they don't have another narrative. So we have to teach proper history, and we have to teach what's really going on, right?
And within our families as well. I mean, I have a niece who's growing up in a place that's not, it's, you know, it's a Trump land, and I don't know what all information she's getting during the day, so I'm always very proactive about sharing truth.
Well, she's lucky to have
within
you.
reason. And reminding my sister-in-law, truth.
That's right. It's the difference.
So, next we are proud of our special partnership with Sunshine Cathedral, the world's largest queer church here in Fort Lauderdale. Excuse me. Supporting that partnership, we are broadcasting from our permanent set here at Sunshine Cathedral at the Happening Out television studios. We broadcast Sunshine Cathedral's Sunday international service at 10:30 a.m.
Hi, I'm Chris Caputo, City Commissioner with Wilton Manors, and Sunshine Cathedral is my queer church.
Fox News, Tucker Carlson, and radical conservatives have suggested the LGBTQ plus community has a secret plan. We can only guess what it is. We can only guess it is for world domination. We couldn't agree more, and we are going to tell you all about it in our segment called The Gay Agenda. Bum bum. They don't have a bum bum.
No, but let's keep moving. In the gay agenda, we queer up gay culture. 10 gay and queer celebrities who have talked about being tops, bottoms, or verse. Top, bottom, or verse. It's an age-old question that has puzzled many people for thousands of years. While not everyone subscribed to those labels, for many queer people, and especially gay men, calling yourself top, bottom, or first can be a way to help find potential partners and hookups. It can even make you feel more empowered. Have you ever wondered which of your favorite LGBTQ+ celebrities are tops and bottoms? Here's our list. Andy Cohen.
Nah.
Claimed to be a top. Bowen Yang. Bottom. Daniel Newman. Top. Haas Schliemann. Total bottom. Little Nas X. Bottom. Nico Tortorella. Verse top. Ross Matthews. Top. Ryan O'Connell. Power bottom. Troye Sivan. Bottom. Joachim Booster, versatile.
In the gay agenda, we queer up Road to Stonewall, LGBTQ+ travel, the world's best pride festivals for 2023. After Auckland Pride, the LGBTQ+ community wants to know what else is on the calendar for 2023. A sea of spandex, canal floats, and dance music are just some things you can expect from the rainbow-filled Pride festivals that will take place across the globe this year. Some of these Pride festivals include Tel Aviv Pride Parade. It is the largest Pride event in Asia and the Middle East. Pride Week takes place in the second week of June. Another Pride is Denver Pride Fest, which takes place in June too. Spain's capital, Madrid, also hosts a Pride called the annual Mado, Madrid Pride, from June 23rd to July 2nd. Other Pride festivals also include Manchester Pride and Amsterdam Pride.
In the gay agenda, we queer up entertainment. LGBTQ+ celebrities who have competed on The Masked Singer. Over the years, The Masked Singer has become one of the most popular reality competitions on television. Each season, the show features different casts of celebrities singing and performing on a stage behind a costume and a mask. Upon their elimination, the creatures are unmasked and viewers find out which celebrities were behind those costumes. The show has featured a few out queer celebrities over time. Here they are with what character they appeared as. Bella Thorne, Swan. Bobby Burke, Caterpillar. Caitlyn Jenner, Phoenix. Cheyenne Jackson, Prince. Johnny Weir, Egg. Jojo Siwa, T-Rex. Margaret Cho, Poodle. Raven Simone, Black Widow, and Todrick Hall, Bull.
In the gay agenda,
For the LGBTQ+ community on the world's first and only daily LGBTQ+ evening news show.
If our community is important to you, share this news with your friends and family. Are you, like most of America, part of our very large television audience watching this live LGBTQ+ news broadcast right now on Roku, Apple TV, Android TV, and Amazon Fire TV?
Queer News Tonight is the only live LGBTQ+ digital television show in the world that is out of the closet and into the headlines. We need your support. If our community is to grow, we must tell our stories and bring them to the attention of the broader world.
This is the only place in the world that tells these types of LGBTQ+ stories in motion and sound. That is the passion of HotShots magazine, happening out television network, and Queer News Tonight.
I'm your anchor, Paul Thomas, and on behalf of these LGBTQ+ reporters, the anchors of Queer News Tonight, including Del Stine, Bob Hentschel, Dr. Bobby Huen, and Gregg Shapiro. We will see you daily at 8 p.m., but before we end our broadcast, we have one final story.
And next, let's queer up the big interview. Suspended State Attorney Andrew Warren talks about DeSantis' suspension and why he supports LGBTQ+ rights. Governor Ron DeSantis suspended Andrew Warren in August. A district court judge ruled DeSantis violated Warren's First Amendment rights but did not have the authority to reinstate him. Andrew Warren said he will appeal a judge's decision that upheld his suspension as Hillsborough State's attorney by Governor Ron DeSantis. While talking at the Florida LGBTQ plus Democratic Caucus on Saturday, February 25th, Andrew Warren said that the governor of Florida broke state and federal laws to just suspend him. Andrew Warren also said that the attacks by Governor DeSantis are because Warren supports and talks in favor of abortion, transgender rights, and against discrimination against women and transgender Americans. He promised and motivated the community members and the Democratic Party supporters to fight like hell as the stakes are high.
Al Ferguson at Queer News Tonight, and we are at the Florida LGBTQ Democratic Caucus State Convention. And we're looking at many of the issues that are going on in the LGBTQ community, and we have a special interview here at Queer News Tonight. And of course, no introduction. He's been in the headlines. The LGBTQ community has been following it closely. Hillsborough State Attorney Andrew Warren, who was removed, suspended, you're going to help me with the right words, by Governor DeSantis. Thank you very much for joining us at Queer News Tonight.
My pleasure.
Well, as you know, the LGBTQ community continues to have consternation with our governor, and you seem to be an example of the storyline of how the governor is managing communication and getting what he wants in the state. For our viewers, help summarize what occurred in Hillsborough County for you as state attorney.
Well, I was in my second term as state attorney in Hillsborough County, and last August the governor suspended me, alleging that I had done several things which were not true. And we filed a lawsuit in federal court. It turns out that the governor was targeting me for political reasons, and he was really upset because I spoke out in support of abortion rights after the Roe decision was overturned, that had spoke out against the criminalization of transgender Americans and stood up against that discrimination. And those were things that the governor said were evidence of that I didn't deserve to be the state attorney anymore. So, as I mentioned, we filed a lawsuit in federal court. Last month, the judge issued a ruling, and the ruling was crystal clear. I hadn't done anything wrong except serve my community the way I told them that I would, that the governor's allegations against me were totally false, and that the governor broke two laws. Let me repeat that for a minute. The governor broke two separate laws, federal law and state law, in suspending me without any legal basis in a politically motivated attack.
You know, Mr. Warren, do I have permission to call you Andrew?
Of course.
Yeah. Your case, we have followed closely at Queer News Tonight, and much of the national LGBTQ community has followed the situation in you being state attorney in Hillsborough County. We're watching these kind of attacks across the board in Florida, and very powerless people trying to stand up to the governor, including the trans community, including drag queens, including businesses like Orlando Philharmonic or Broward Center, school boards, librarians, much less teachers or students. We're watching this kind of orchestrated attempt to legislate, in many instances without any legislation, from the governor. You are a powerful seat in Florida that he attacks. Why do you think he's doing this? We understand what you said in terms of his reaction, but beyond the issues, why do you think he's taking these kind of actions to literally get his way?
Well, because he's doing this to serve not the people of Florida, but to promote his own political brand, to serve his own political agenda. This is because he wants to run for president. You know, it's no secret at this point. And rather than doing what true leadership is about, solving problems that make people's lives better, he's taking the easy route. He's telling these convenient lies. He's being divisive. He's demonizing people who disagree with him. And his base politically eats it up. I mean, they don't care if he hasn't done anything to address insurance issues in the state, if he hasn't made our educational system better, if he hasn't helped our economy, because he's attacking people that he disagrees with, that his base disagrees with, and that is good for ratings, it's good for his political ambition, but it's bad for Florida.
You know, I'm curious, when you got the news, did the governor or the governor's office ask you to suspend any of the communication that you were doing? Did you get any of that kind of notice in advance?
No, not at all. And in fact, after a full and fair trial on the merits, the federal judge that the case was in front of pointed out that not only were the governor's allegations against me totally false, but it would have taken a moment's investigation. Like, they could have picked up the phone and just to confirm that they were false. But as the judge pointed out, they didn't care about the truth. They cared about telling their own alternative facts so that they can sell this false narrative to their base to say, oh, we are taking care of business in Florida. Again, fighting these culture war divisive issues that really don't help anyone except DeSantis' own political ambitions.
Yeah, it's an illustration of woke comes to die in Florida. It's an attempt to try to prove that. I'm curious, when you got the news, however you got it, whether it was a phone call or a letter or an email, what was your first reaction coming out of the blue that you were suspended from post? What was your reaction when that happened?
Well, my reaction was probably not what you'd expect. My reaction was, how is this going to affect what I'm doing in the office today? Because it was a really important day for us in the state attorney's office. We were taking to the grand jury an indictment against 2 rapists and murderers for cold cases from 39 years ago. So I had promised the victims of these heinous murders that I would supervise the grand jury. I would be with them to tell them when the indictment was returned against the men responsible for killing their loved one. And I got an email that told me I was suspended. And my first thought went to, how do I make sure to deliver on the promise of my job to make sure that those victims and their families got what I told them they would get, which is an indictment returned against the people who killed their family member.
I'm curious. Also, a drag queen is told in your county just today, in Hillsborough County, a drag queen is performing tomorrow in Apollo Beach, and they're doing a drag bingo in Apollo Beach. It's not Tampa. It's a bit more of a conservative community, and the restaurant in Apollo Beach informed the drag queen today that they're going to have to cancel the event because it might violate state law. There's no state law that it would violate. And they've received multiple threats against the business hosting it. And so as a result, in due diligence, the business has decided to cancel the event. When the drag queen gets the notice, your event tomorrow is canceled because you're a groomer or you've done something wrong or you've said something wrong. I think about Andrew Warren in that, what's the difference? You get an email saying you've done something wrong and you're suspended, or the drag queen in Apollo Beach. It seems to me, while extreme in the illustration, that it is a similar process that the governor is just pitching with these wide nets to marginalize everyone, including the state attorney in Hillsborough County.
Well, look, the governor has made no secret of the fact that if you disagree with him, you risk him coming after you, whether it's me as state attorney, whether it's the transgender community, whether it's Disney and businesses that are standing up for their values, whether it's school board members, teachers. Look, the free state of Florida is only free if you believe and agree with everything that King Ron DeSantis says. Mm-hmm. And that is not the way freedom works. That is not what Florida's about. That is a very dangerous path we are on.
Yeah, you don't elect monarchs, heard loud and clear. I'm also curious in terms of this email comes to you. Was it embarrassing to you? Family, friends, people around you, colleagues? Did you have embarrassment of that you have to evaluate, have I done something wrong? Did you have any of those feelings?
No, nothing like that. I mean, first of all, this was never about just me, right? This was about much bigger issues that affect so many people, not just the voters of Hillsborough who elected me, but anyone who cares about free speech and the integrity of our elections. But it's frustrating, not embarrassing. It's frustrating because I knew the truth from the beginning, and it took months for that truth to come out in trial. And now that the truth came out, so people could see, the judge, a neutral arbiter of this, came out and said, Andrew Hentschel, anything wrong? The allegations against him are totally bogus. The governor is the one who is breaking the law here. It was refreshing to know that a judge came out and told everybody what we had known from the beginning, that this was an illegal suspension and a political hit job.
A political hit job. Before your situation, I had difficulty. I spent some time in looking at examples where a governor suspends an elected official in the seat of a state attorney, like in Hillsborough County. What's your reaction of a governor being able to suspend elected officials?
That is the key question, right? Unfortunately, everyone looks at my case and frankly, so many issues in politics today through the partisan lens of tribalism, right? If I'm a Democrat, everything Democrats do is great. If I'm a Republican, everything Republicans do is great. This is about so much more than that. A Republican governor suspending a Democratic state attorney is bad for democracy and bad for our state, just as if it were a Democratic governor suspending a Republican state attorney over political disagreement, for a political stunt. That is bad for democracy. And what people need to understand is it doesn't matter whether you're Republican or independent or Democrat. If you care about free speech, if you care about our elections, if you care about the rule of law, then this is wrong and you should be offended.
Yeah, and to that point, Andrew, I'm curious, what the reaction to you has been from communities like LGBT, women, Black, faith diversity communities that all know what this means in terms of marginalized attack. What's the response to you, Ben?
It's been overwhelmingly positive and supportive. I mean, it means so much to me to have so many people standing behind me in a fight that is about so much. But I tell you, one of the most reassuring things that's happened to me is the number of people who've come up to me and said, you know what, I didn't vote for you. I voted for the governor, but this is wrong. Because that shows that our democracy is functioning. When people can put aside their political allegiances and know what's important, fundamental values, democracy, our rights, our freedom, that gives me hope for the future in our state.
Wonderfully said. For viewers, walk us through what you expect is going to happen next and the timeline for that.
Well, it's hard to predict. The judge said that, as I mentioned before, basically we were right and the governor was wrong and broke the law. He said he didn't have the jurisdiction to reinstate me. So we filed an appeal to the higher federal court on that very narrow issue. At the same time, we've gone to the Florida Supreme Court to ask them to force the governor to do what he swore to do, which is uphold the laws of Florida and the laws of the United States. It's hard to predict how long it will take. It's impossible to predict what outcomes will be in trial, but I'll tell you this, we will keep fighting because there is just too much at stake.
Yeah, a lot at stake here. Andrew, I'm curious from this experience as an elected official in Hillsborough County, especially a post like state attorney, is it something that you would have taken on again if you could have had the crystal ball to see this is what's going to happen? Would this be a path of, I would be the state attorney and run for election all over again?
Well, I certainly would have, yes, run for state attorney. I mean, I'm passionate about criminal justice. We've been doing great things in Hillsborough. And, if you're asking would I have changed what I did and what I said to avoid the governor's wrath. I mean, think about what the question is asking, right? Should I not be free to speak my mind? Should I not be free to do what I've told the people of Hillsborough County I would do as state attorney? Am I not free to do the job that I promised the people who voted for me and came out to support me, the job that I would do because I was worried about offending the king? Absolutely not. I would do exactly everything the same way as I did it before. That's what freedom's about.
So reinstatement seems like it's going to be likely as the appeal continues, either through federal district court or the Supreme Court. What's going to be next for you? You're reinstated as state attorney in Hillsborough County. What's on the future horizon for you?
I wish I had a clear answer to that. I tell you, since the day I was suspended, my sole focus has been on fighting this fight to get my job back, to make sure that the people of Hillsborough County have their elected official in office, and to make sure that our rights and freedoms still matter across the state.
You know, clearly your story resonates so significantly in LGBT because we have a marginalized voice where powerful people try to hold you down. And so the story for you is an illustration of that story, but somebody that has a lot of power. The state attorney in Hillsborough has a lot of power, and that's why LGBT has followed your story so closely. I'm curious in terms of coming to an event like this, the Florida LGBT Democratic Caucus, why is, given the fight that you're in with the governor, why is an event like this important to you? Why is the LGBTQ community important to you? Why are you still, as you're fighting this, voicing up for a marginalized community? Why is that important to you?
Well, for exactly the reason, Al, that you said a moment ago, right? I mean, this is about speaking up for those who need some protection and support from a very powerful autocratic government. This is about my obligation as an elected official, as state attorney, as a Floridian, to stand up for those whose rights are being taken away, for those who are being marginalized, for those who are being attacked solely based on who they are, what they look like, who they love. That is not what our state and our country is about, and I will never remain silent so long as our rights are being taken away and people are being demonized and divided.
You heard crystal clear. Andrew, take your crystal ball, as good as your crystal ball might be, project forward. What's going to happen here?
I can't even hazard a guess in terms of what the outcome will be. You know, it's really hard to predict those things in terms of the substantive outcome, the time of it. I can tell you this, we'll keep fighting. There's just too much at stake not to.
Yeah. And in Florida, this impending showdown for 24 for the Republican nomination. Florida has two dogs in the game.
Yes.
What do you foresee in terms of what's going to happen in terms of the continuation of this decision making that's coming out of the governor's mansion in lieu of the pursuit of running for president of the United States? Is it going to get worse?
I think it may. I mean, there's an old saying, right? When someone shows you who they are, believe them. And the governor has shown us who he is. You know, Martha's Vineyard stunt, removing me, suspending me, attacking teachers and transgender Floridians, and doing all these political stunts. We need to believe him. He showed us who he is. And I hope that the voters in the Republican primary understand who he is and whether that's what represents our best, our noblest qualities in terms of the elected leaders that we want, not just at a state level, but at a national level.
Andrew, I want to ask you a last question in terms of reaction. State Attorney of Hillsborough County. The last weekend in March, the Tampa Pride Parade will take place on 7th Avenue in Ybor City. We are going to lead Queer News Tonight on Monday's show that the governor's office, through departmental business regulation, has warned Tampa Pride that no drag queens can be in the Tampa Pride Parade. What's your reaction to that?
I mean, again, the governor likes to brag about this being the free state of Florida. What you just said certainly doesn't make it sound very free to a lot of us.
Yeah, and we're going to report in our story on Monday. We can't seem to find the law where that says in Florida law that is, a state attorney in Hillsborough County would enforce. There is no such law, but apparently that is the situation we are in. We'll follow this closely. We're following the story closely to you. Andrew Warren, we appreciate you taking the time to come and speak to the LGBTQ community here, and we're watching your fight closely.
Thank you so much.
We wish you luck with it. Andrew Warren, state attorney, is suspended the correct word?
Yes.
You're the suspended state attorney.
I'm the duly elected state attorney, and I'm currently suspended.
I swear in my entire life, I never dreamed that I was going to say the suspended state attorney for Hillsborough County, Andrew Warren. Thank you very much for joining us.
My
at Queer
pleasure.
News
Thank
tonight.
you.
LGBTQ plus news is vital for our community and for the broader world as a whole. We have enough enemies at Fox News. Tucker, Sean, and Laura are loud. We need passionate allies. Happening Out television network, Queer News Tonight, and It's Happening Out are literally out of the closet and into the headlines. Our community needs your support. Like this broadcast and subscribe now to ensure the growth of the entire LGBTQ plus